Well, hey everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of the Pixar Post Podcast. As usual, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And in this episode, we are going to concentrate almost entirely on Disney Infinity, talking about tips, tricks, our review,
the characters, the play sets, everything.
Exactly. And a little bit of a discussion in regards to our forum and a question that came up or a comment that came up in regards to the movie Inside Out. Mm-hmm. And we're going to also be announcing a new contest at the end of this, themed after Disney Infinity, or at the end of the podcast, so stay tuned for that as well. So we wanted to start out the discussion with that comment that was on the post regarding Inside Out. Mm-hmm. And it was a comment about an article and a little bit of a combination of a D23 Expo discussion that happened regarding Inside Out, where Pete Docter discussed how challenging managing many storylines is going to be, because we have the main, well, not the main, but one of the girl character, Riley. With her storyline, and then we're going to have all the emotions and their storylines inside the girl's mind, and how the two storylines have to talk and interact with each other.
Right.
So Pete Docter talked about how difficult and challenging this is. And so the comment came from our forum user Tom4319, which we hope is a play off of
2319.
little
George Sanderson.
Little George Sanderson emergency there. But he said it does seem very hard to create story arcs for the emotions. Do the emotions have one single emotion? If so, how do they change and develop like characters do? I guess that's why there's the need for the focus of the young girl. So I thought that was really blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because I was just so caught up with, it's a new Pete Docter movie, and how cool is this going to be?
Right.
And the new character artwork. And it was just like there's so much excitement around it. I didn't think about the fact of the characters and their story arc, if they are truly the main characters, which they are.
Yeah.
So,
and you're right that, their emotions. So does anger ever get sad, or is he angry all the time?
Right. Yeah, so that made me think about, because obviously, it made me think about when I was looking at that Disney animated app, the new app that Disney released that goes into all things, everything regarding story, animation, the whole process for Disney. But there was a quote in there from John Lasseter that absolutely hit home in regards to this. John said, "When directors pitch story ideas to me, I start with two things. First, where is the heart of the film going to come from? The heart of the story is the emotion, the pathos, and it's always rooted in the main character and the story arc. The story arc is, in other words, what he or she learns. Mm-hmm. Second, where is the story going to take place? Is it a place that I want to spend time in?" So obviously the second area, where is it going to take place inside the girl's mind? Are you going to want to spend time there? Probably, because it's going to be a fun little environment with these little characters and all these other kind of things, and it makes us think of our own minds.
Right.
But the heart of the story is the emotion, and it's always rooted in the character and the story arc, what he or she learns. So Tom's question is great in the fact that how is anger going to evolve and go down the story path of a typical, traditional, classical story formula, mm-hmm. which every other Pixar movie is, in this movie? It blew my mind.
Yeah.
That was a great question.
It is a really great question.
Right. So how can the characters develop if we don't see anger becoming softer?
And we know they will, because I will say that after all the information and the details that were released at the D23 Expo, everyone is talking about Inside Out. I think everyone is just so,
they're enamored by it.
Yeah, they're excited about it. I think it's just because of these characters. They have these 5 emotion characters, and it's like, how, and inside a mind, and
right. Yeah, and the only thing that we've heard that's been, potentially questioning on the movie so far, the only thing is the character designs. And Tom mentioned that in a separate comment as well, and we've heard it in comments when we've been talking to people, just not online even, that they said that the characters, the only concern they have at this point is they might be a little too cartoony looking. So we'll see how that pans out. But, for me, it's not a concern.
No, I happen to have liked what I've seen.
Yeah, I think it's kind of...
Especially, the sadness.
Right.
I like that spot on.
Right. Yeah, and I like the, what is it, Fear, where he's a little dorky, he's got a longer nose, he's more like a little, like you can see his shoulders hunched up. And
a little bit.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. But in general, though, I think that they're going to have to, and the reason, here's my theory on it.
They're going to have to evolve, you think?
Well, like it says, a story, they have to change over time. So my theory is that in your teenage years is when you're the most polarizing, emotional in all directions.
Oh my goodness!
You're the most angry. You're the most sad. You're the most happy. Everything's the greatest or the worst, and
up and down.
Those
every
teenage
20
years.
Minutes, yeah.
So my thought is that the emotions, as adults, as you get to become an adult, become more balanced. It's the process of your emotions learning to not just have one emotion.
Maybe to kind of coexist with each other.
Yeah, and not necessarily take over or, those types of things. So I think in general, it's the process of balancing all of those emotions.
Okay.
So that way, because we know a couple of them get lost in her mind.
Right.
So when they get lost, I think as you get older, when sadness hits us now, it's not to the same level. Yeah, I guess it depends on what it is.
Right.
But we can balance it more by rationalizing things more than a teenage mind can.
Right.
We can say, okay, this is disappointing now, but it will get better, and we know that it will because of X, X, and Y.
Right.
So I think that's... I think that's what the story arc is going to be, is that the emotions have to learn to become more, more than just a unidirectional feeling of anger, fear.
Like coexisting.
Yeah, like you said. So that's what I think it is.
I would have to agree with you. I think that's a good theory.
That's because I sold you on it.
I'll second that. Yes, you did sell me on it.
So the other thing that we wanted to talk about is in regards to the forum, is that the forum now has polls added to it. So you can... we've posted one for Disney Infinity, and we asked what your favorite playset is right now. So definitely check it out. Go to the Disney Infinity section, vote on your favorite playset. But the other thing we wanted to talk about is you can now add your own polls to forum topics as well. So if you're starting a post and you say, hey, I want to know what people think of these 5-10 options, you can add them. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool. You can add that. You can add your own little programming of a poll right in there, and it's all within the app. You don't have to go to an outside source or anything like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's...
So definitely let us know there. In regards to the favorites, when I voted on it after I created the playset, I said Cars. I was right in on it because I love Radiator Springs, the familiarity of it, the fact that I've known it from the movies and going to Disneyland and seeing it. It was all there. But then I started getting into The Incredibles more tonight when I was getting ready to do the podcast, and I might be thinking The Incredibles now.
He's going to keep changing his mind. He's played this game for hours and hours and hours, and we only bought it just yesterday.
Yeah, I probably have like 10 hours logged already.
Oh my goodness.
I know. But it's a ton of fun. And The Incredibles, we'll get into some more reasons why coming up, based on some other comments that we've heard from people through Twitter and our readers and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about Disney Infinity. Let's get into the main area of what we wanted to talk about this week. So let's start with our adventure of picking up the game itself.
Okay.
So ours, we had not pre-ordered it. We were still trying to see which avenue we wanted to go, and we happened to go into a Toys R Us, and they told us, like, the whole thing that you could start pre-ordering stuff at midnight and reserve it for store pickups, and we were like, oh, okay. So then we decided we were just going to pre-order it there. Mm-hmm. So we finally pulled the trigger on the last minute on Saturday evening and pre-ordered it at Toys R Us. We got up the next day. We were ready to go at 8 a.m., even though I had been up late pre-ordering stuff and researching stuff and posting. So we got there at 8 a.m., and then we had this whole plan. We had written it down, what we were going to get.
Which playsets we were going to get. We weren't going to get all of them. It's still kind of expensive, and but then we get there.
Right.
And everything's on, like, super sale.
Well, yeah, it's all buy one, get one half off.
And then the employees, every employee must have been there. And we were the first ones in the store. There was another woman who came in, and then families started trickling in about 15 minutes later. But they handed us a cart. And then TJ starts filling the cart with every single playset, every single character, with the exception of the Lone Ranger and the power packs.
The power discs?
Yeah, power discs.
Yeah. So, so it was the fact that it was the buy one, get one half off that it totally threw us off. We decided, we were like, well, if we're going to get it, now's the time.
Right.
And then you start to tell yourself things when you're out. Like...
But you start to rationalize with yourself, and then you and I are not good together.
No, we egg each other on.
I mean, we're good, but, we're just like... Yeah, let's get it.
You're like, well, you get that one, and then I see you questioning one, and I'm like, well, you really want it, just get it. Yeah. And then we had to get one more because then it was an odd number, and it was even. We had to have it be even because of the buy one get one. It was a whole thing.
Yes.
So, anyways, we ended up getting, like she said, everything except for the Lone Ranger, and we all know that Julie has a blind bag love.
Yes, obsession.
Obsession. The pins.
Vinylmation.
Right, so the power discs themselves, blind bags. So we decide we're going to start feeling all of them. We're picking out the circular ones. We're getting hexagonal ones. We're doing the whole thing. When we get through the checkout, then all these people are now, like the other people that are there are like, Target has this one on sale and Walmart has this one on sale. So then we're going around figuring out where all the best deals are so we could maximize what we could get for the lowest price possible. So we ended up having to return some things and do a whole adventure drive around. So did anybody else do this? Did anybody else go crazy and hit up multiple stores and buy a couple things here and a couple there and a few more there? We're interested to see if anybody's
because we did all day on Sunday. All we did. And Toys R Us was open until 8, and then it was about 7:15, and TJ was like, we're only missing about, 6 power discs.
And there was 9, actually.
Oh, 9 we were missing. And so we made a last-minute run to Toys R Us, which was about, half hour away.
Yeah.
Got there just in time, and he bought, how many did you buy? 8 more bags?
Yeah. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, that was also egged on by you, too.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's the blind bags.
Well, and I like the thrill of the chase.
Right. That is the best part. That is the best part of it. So, yes, so we went out and got some more. So we are fully geared up. And then the other thing I told myself is I'm not going to open all the characters. I'm just going to see if I like it as I went. And then, of course, you're like, ooh, I got to do this. And to do that, I have to have this character. Ugh. So, anyways, we're fully entrenched now.
Yes, we have them all except for the Lone Ranger. And we are missing 3 power discs.
Right. Right, so that's pretty cool. Yep. So the one thing that we wanted to talk about, and the gold exclusive Toys R Us packs of the power discs. They had the regular power disc packs that you can buy everywhere, and then Toys R Us had some exclusives. They were a gold bag. You could get Mike's. That's the only way that you could get Mike's new car, that power disc, which wasn't even listed as an official Wave 1 release, but that's the only way you could get it. So we bought one of those, thinking because the Toys R Us ad was very confusing. It said, includes Mike's new car. So we're like, does every bag include it? Nobody knew. And of course, when we went back later, we were going to buy one more just to find out that they're all sold out at that point. So we were like, So who knows? But the other thing that was an exclusive that was at Toys R Us, and the other reason we went there, was the Crystal Infinity Lightning McQueen.
Yes.
So the Crystal Infinity Lightning McQueen...
which was really cool and went so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. By the time...
It was off the shelves by...
Yeah, there was only a couple left when we were there, when we left in the morning. And when we went back later, they were gone.
Gone.
So the Crystal Infinity, what those are for anybody that doesn't know, is essentially the character is more of like a white frosted glass kind of look. And what it is you just place the character on the base the same way you would the standard character, and it gives you extra bonus experience points and health to give characters an extra edge in the game. So I can tell you from playing with them, it's fun, the Crystal Infinity characters. I mean, obviously it's not necessary, but it's cool to get the Lightning McQueen, see him not in red, and that he's... flying around the game in this white kind of clear color. It's cool. You can do a little bit more. You get the experience points faster and all those kind of things. So I'm hooked. I was hooked on using that one. That's my favorite one of the cars for sure. So, anyways, let's take a look at the review of them as well. So, the characters... Oh, one other thing we want to mention in regards to the characters is coming in October, in addition to new sets like the Toy Story in Space set that's going to be coming out, when you open each one of the characters, there's a little... almost looks like a playing card size or a little smaller.
Yeah, like a trading card.
Like a trading card kind of size that has a code on it. Definitely do not lose that, because in October there's also going to be a online version that you can play cross-platform. So if you Mac or PC, you can play that, and then there's also going to be an iPad version, and you need that code because there's not a base that they're going to sell to plug into the PC or the iPad. You use that code, and that enables you to play as the characters you've already purchased in those ways. So definitely don't lose that little card that comes in there. Just wanted
you can play it on the road.
Yeah, and the iPad.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. I didn't even think about that. So you can take it with you wherever you go.
Oh, yeah,
they did
on
say
the plane.
They did say that it's not going to be full functionality.
Oh, of course. I mean, it'd be hard to, but
yeah, right. But they
still
said
some of the games.
And to have all your characters and everything is neat. So, anyways, so let's get into a review of it. So the game itself has lots of mini missions that are really kind of surprisingly slow to get started. But I guess it's a good way. Looking back, it's a good way to get the basics and fundamentals of...
Well, just to kind of learn how to move these characters and, what exactly, they can do, what their powers are. And,
right, combinations of Z, X, Q,
how to jump and stuff like that.
Right, so it does take a while to get moving, but definitely stick with it, because once you get through some of the basics is when the villains start showing up, and then it starts to really take off. The missions get more complex. They don't give you as many tips on where everything is. You have to start finding them on your own, so definitely stick with it, and it's pretty cool. So, Monsters University. This playset, really cool. It's included in the starter pack, as we know. Lots of fun on collecting items. Toilet papering things with toilet paper gun is a blast. They talked about it a lot in the game ahead of time. It's so much fun. So one of our readers did comment, though, that one of the things that they thought is that the characters' actions in Monsters University all seemed very similar. The combinations that they do, obviously the exception of Randy with his invisibility power helps him with sneaking, but you still can sneak with Mike or Sully as well. And that they all seemed kind of slow. So when you're running from one side of the campus to the other, it takes a while to get there. But definitely a tip there is get a bike. As soon as you can complete enough missions, the bike opens up in the toy store. Get that, and then you can start flying around from side to side a lot faster. So that's definitely a tip there. But where you really start to see some variance in the characters and the speed and all of those things, and this is why I'm kind of leaning towards The Incredibles now, is because that set, so many of the characters do different things. You have Syndrome that can do the 0 point... I forget what it is, but
the freeze thing.
Yeah, where you can freeze you in the 0 point gravity thing. And then you have Dash, who can literally, even if he doesn't have Mr. Incredible's car or anything like that, he can go flying as fast as the car when you're running around. Violet with her shield, Mr. Incredible with his amazing combos. But my favorite
is Elastigirl.
Mrs. Incredible. I was shocked. I literally was shocked. I did not think that she would be my favorite. Not that I don't like her, but hers has the most versatility in her fighting style, in her ability to climb up buildings where there's not even a railing or stairs.
Hers is because she's like kind of like sticky, like elastic. Like she sticks to buildings or something?
Because you can shoot out, like one of the really cool ones is you can shoot out your arm and grab an Omni Droid, and then like essentially you can either pull it towards you or fling your body to it to kick it before it even has a chance to, it can't reach you with its arms. So that's really cool. And then from the building standpoint, sometimes those little capsules, there's the green capsules and the red capsules that are on top of buildings, and sometimes you're looking at them going, there's no way I can get that. And if you swap it out for Mrs. Incredible or Elastigirl, you can actually shoot her hand above where any other stairs or climbing abilities would be for the other characters, and then you can, while you pull yourself up to the building, you can then jump and get up there. So her toy will allow you to reach things higher than any other or her character will allow you to reach anything higher than anybody else too.
Interesting.
So really cool.
See, now TJ's played, I think, every character we own. I've only played Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. That's the one you were interested in.
Yeah.
So that I thought was really cool.
Well, that, and I think you're hogging the game a little bit.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? So, and that hogging the game, that can be a good time to mention that in the play sets themselves, you can't play multiplayer, but in the toy box you can play multiplayer.
Right.
So that's where she comes in saying, I was hogging it a little bit.
Yeah.
So definitely look at The Incredibles as one that I consider to be a must-own, between the versatility of the characters, the different missions.
And you're talking about all of the incredible characters.
I honestly think they're all necessary. Even Syndrome's character is super cool. I mean, when you're fighting the Omnidroids and you can use his 0-point gravity thing, pick up an Omnidroid and fling it at another Omnidroid, that's awesome.
Okay.
So I think that is the most important set, the most important complete set to have. Because I think every character in that has its own unique abilities, whereas the other sets have such similarities between them.
Okay.
Like in the Cars set, for instance, transitioning to that, obviously you could imagine that the cars are the cars. You know, sure, you can outfit the different cars with missiles and guns and all these other kind of monster truck tires, which is awesome. But the capabilities are they all essentially drive, and to crash into things is the only way that you're really fighting with them, unless you're using a missile or something like that. So that's why I think the most versatility is in The Incredibles by far. So, but like the cars, like I said before, the greatest thing is the fact that you're in Radiator Springs. You get to see all your old familiar friends in it. Luigi, Guido, all the Ramon, Flo's.
And that's what you had mentioned to me about, because you would kind of get lost in the world of Monsters University and kind of forget where you were. But when you played as the Cars playset, you knew Radiator Springs from seeing the movie 1,000 times.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I got to go down to Flo's? Okay.
Yeah, you knew how to get there.
Right.
So I think that was really interesting that you told me when you were playing this game, because he played the Cars all last night.
Right. That was like a 7-hour adventure. So the thing that's really cool about Cars 2 is, obviously, if you're a racing fan, that's the set that you need, because there's not only the missions that you go on where you're doing little like gathering sessions where you're towing people and all those kind of things, but you're also in many, many races against other cars, and they ramp up and a car between easy, medium, and hard. So when you get to the hard one, I had to do some of those 15-20 times before I could achieve it and win. So that is, if you definitely like racing, that is the set that you have to get.
And you could race against like other cars, like characters like Chick Hicks too, right?
Yeah, you do an individual race. There's a challenge where you race Chick Hicks, and then there's other ones where it's the other characters from the set. So if you're playing as Lightning McQueen, you're going to be racing Francesco, Mater, and Holly Shiftwell.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
if you're playing as Mater, then you're racing, the insert Lightning McQueen. So it's really cool how you can race in all the different characters. And obviously, I already mentioned the Crystal Infinity Lightning McQueen, totally necessary. Well, not necessary, but a lot of fun if you want to look at it a different way. So obviously, we already mentioned that the Lone Ranger and Pirates sets are already available. Pirates is fun. Lone Ranger we didn't get, but I'm already thinking that I might want to, because I like the shooting adventures. So we'll see. But obviously, we don't want to spend too much time focusing on that, because we're a Pixar site. So the toy box. Let's talk about the toy box. So it kind of starts out and just plops you in there. You just appear, and there's all of a sudden a castle. And you're like, well, what do I do now? So it took us a while to kind of get the hang of it and what we were supposed to do, until I started to learn that you want to play their missions. So there's a series of missions when you get in there, and they're, again, just like in the playset, they're training exercises. So you want to do those. That opens up more things that you can buy and use to build within the toy box. And it also
teaches you how to do things like shoot things or kind of do spin kicks and... Exactly,
yeah. And like, for instance, there's just one of them where you learn so how to use a party cannon. So you have to learn to connect a pad that's on the ground, a switch that's on the ground. You have to connect that to the cannon, and then you learn how to do all that with the magic wand. Totally essential. But so look for those missions and do those first, and then you can go from there. And that's when you can start really going around and downloading the pre-made toy boxes and all those kind of things. So again, like I said, kind of slow to get started. Then you're into it, and it's going good. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I also wanted to mention that I think is kind of essential at this point is a book, and it's the Disney Infinity Official Game Guide. It retails for $20. You can get it much cheaper on Amazon and things like that, and we're going to have a link in our show notes. I consider it an essential, and I'll tell you why. There is no way in the game to know if you've completed all of the missions or if you've completed half of the missions, what's left.
There's no, status.
Right, it doesn't say you're 50% or 75% of the way through with the Cars playset. And they said they didn't want to provide any type of meter to show you where you were because they wanted your imagination to kind of just take you wherever you wanted to go. But obviously, if you're playing a game and you're playing it long enough, you want to know if you've done it all.
Yeah.
You're like, have I completed everything? Have I done all the challenges? Have I gathered all the things? So I think it's in the book, they give you a list of all of the missions. Some of them are character specific too. So unless you were in that area in the game and using Mrs. Incredible or Elastigirl, you wouldn't know that mission was for her only in that area.
See, I didn't know they were character specific.
Some of them are. So, and then the other thing that they do, well, we'll get back to that in a minute, because I don't want to get off track from this. So you could overlook them if you didn't have the book. So what I've been doing is, as I do the missions, I just circle them. I circle the title of it, so that way I know. The other thing that's really cool in the book is it gives you full detailed maps of all the different worlds, and there's even a code that you can go online and download them to your computer or iPad, and that way you can zoom in really close on them and see all the details of where everything may be. It's going to give you a full detailed list of all of the red and green capsules, where those are located throughout the game, so that's really cool if you want to do that and gather all those. Mm-hmm. It's a full list of all I already mentioned the challenges, and it has all the Wave 1 characters and discs. The only thing I wish is that they had at least a section maybe with blank circles for the Wave 2 and 3 of discs that you could buy like a sticker pack to put in there.
Yeah.
Because the book is, as soon as the Wave 2 comes out, for the power discs and for the characters, that part will be just like, done. And I don't know if...
Obsolete.
Right, they're not going to create a whole new book for 3 new pages either. So I wish they would have created maybe like some kind of like booster thing or something like that you could buy and include. But regardless, I think I've said it enough. If I had to pick a playset...
They'll probably come out with a second game, or a second book, because they're going to have to come out with the characters, because there's going to be missions.
Oh, you're right.
And different play sets.
No,
so it'll just be a second book.
All right, bigger thinker than me.
Yeah.
So yes, second book I think will be good as well. But playset, Incredibles, definitely the one that you have to get, and I definitely say the book. Anything else, depends on what you prefer. If you want to go on a monstrous adventure, Monsters U. If you want to race, the Cars set. The other thing we wanted to clarify is the Cars playset. There was a little bit of confusion on this in some of the, in our forum, and then in some tweets that were going around between our readers and us, that, on the release day, they went and bought the starter pack, and then they picked up Mater. And they said, well, hey, I've got Mater, so I'll throw him on the base and I'll play as Mater. Well, if you buy Mater without buying the Cars play set, which is it's a 2-pack of Lightning McQueen and Holly Shiftwell, and it comes with a little crystal piston cup.
Which is the play set. That
crystal piston cup is what allows you to enter Radiator Springs. So if you don't buy the play set, you can still use Mater in Toy Box, but just not in Radiator Springs. Right. So it is still an essential to get the play sets. So definitely keep that in mind if you're out there and you're thinking about getting Cars. Let's talk about it specifically from our platform. So we pre-ordered and purchased this for the regular Nintendo Wii, not the Wii U. And the thing first off, obviously, and this is not, the Wii's been out a while now. It's 480p resolution. I was hoping it would be high def at full 1080p. Not hoping. I knew it wasn't going to be, but it certainly needs it. So in my opinion, if you have the ability to get it on another platform, do so. And the other reason I strongly feel that way is because there's not really a whole lot of communication about this either.
Yeah.
When you pre-order the game, or when you're watching the trailers online, it's only in tiny, tiny fine print in the book. And also, there was a trailer that somebody asked a question on YouTube on the official Disney Infinity trailer, and they responded to it, that says that the maps and worlds are not the same in the standard Wii game. So that's a major thing. You're not getting all of the full functionality of the game.
Right. The other 3 platforms are.
Exactly. So I thought that was interesting, and I wish that would have been better communicated ahead of time. That could have been a motivation for us to look at another system. So that aside, within the playsets, for instance, in the Cars playset, Flo's gas station, in PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, or for the Wii U, Flo's looks like regular Flo's. And if you want to activate it and make it like a ramp, there's a button that you have to press in the game, and that makes the ramps go down. In the Wii version, they've essentially, I don't want to say it like this, but they've dumbed it down a little bit, and there's no button to press. It literally is just always ramps. So you're losing a little bit of functionality, and then you're losing some of the completeness of the maps. But the other thing that probably was one of the bigger for me is in the toy box mode. They touted a lot, Disney Infinity touted a lot of pre-downloadable and user-built worlds that you could say, hey, I'm in the toy box, and another user created this amazing world, I want to play in it. In the Wii, you can't download any of the Disney Infinity built worlds that are through the internet or the user built worlds through the internet. As you perform actions in the toy box, some of them will open, but it was kind of a surprise to me that you really have to build your own. And now from my standpoint, I would prefer to have a couple built that were a little more elaborate.
Right.
To go off to get my mind flowing on all the things that I want to do and could do.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that that's, again, part of not what they want you to use your imagination and build whatever you want. But sometimes you just want to goof around and you want to play in a world that, is just
the Magic Kingdom.
Exactly.
Like they made the Magic Kingdom, and it's like, oh man, we can't get that.
Right. So then that makes us think like, hey, at this point, if we buy another system, we're going to have to replay all these. Yes, the characters have memory in them, but the characters store their performance memory and their experience points. They don't store the missions. So that's kind of a bummer, especially based on the release date of this, with the fact that this fall, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are coming out.
Right.
So you have potentially quite a few people that could be upgrading a system. And it's great that the characters are cross-platform.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, there's no way I would have bought any of the extra characters, or many of them, if it was not cross-platform for that. But as we get closer to the fall time, and with new releases, if we start looking at a new system to upgrade to, that's kind of a tricky situation.
Right.
And
I hope I hope that you can just buy the game rather than just like the full starter pack and have 3 other characters that you already have.
I didn't think about that.
Because right now it's only the starter pack. You can't just buy the game.
Well, the one thing that's going to be interesting there, and I know this is getting totally off topic from Pixar related, is the PlayStation 4, though, is going to be USB 3. And the Disney Infinity base for the Wii and Xbox and PlayStation 3 currently is USB 2. So it's a different connection. So in that instance, you'd have to buy a new base as well as disc for the game. So that's going to be interesting.
That will be interesting.
That'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But anyways, that was the one thing we wanted to pass along to everybody that really wasn't communicated, to let people know that. Now, certainly don't let that overshadow the game at all. It is still a fantastic game. I've logged a ton of hours on the game.
Yes, I'd say over 10 hours in the last day and a half.
Yeah, like I was saying. Right. So
I still haven't got a chance to play yet.
Well, to keep the fun going for our readers as well, and listeners as well, we wanted to give everybody listening to the podcast a sneak peek. So stay tuned to our website. In the next few days, we're going to be announcing our next contest.
Yes.
And it's going to be a Crystal Infinity Lightning McQueen, totally for free. So details to come. If you haven't signed up on our forum yet, do so. It's obviously free to do that as well. That'll be one of the ways to enter. So get out there, sign up, and keep an eye out on the website for the next couple days for your chance to win a Crystal Infinity Lightning McQueen.
Yes, we're really excited to give you guys a chance to win this exclusive Pixar Disney Infinity character.
Yeah, from Toys R Us. And,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully maybe your Toys R Us was sold out of it, or you didn't get a chance to get it online, and now you have another way to get it and pick it up for free. Well, that about wraps up episode 18 of the Pixar Post Podcast. Signing off as usual, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And be sure to stay tuned to PixarPost.com all week for the latest Pixar news.